Prabhupada Jaya Sri Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Jaya Jaya Guru Dev. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya. All Stolra Satyashishi Maharaj's Divine Grace, founder of Nabhaya Charanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, their most merciful Lordship Shri Shri Kunja Bihari Ki, Shri Jagannath Shri Balaji Bhadra Ki, Shri Nataji Shri Balagopal Ki, Shri Shri Varnitai Ki, Go Premanand. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lord and Spirit of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Yato Jayamudiraya Nasta Praishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhaganashtaki. I wanted to read today. I want everyone to get the benefit, the full benefit of Ekadasi. And how do we do that in one sitting? We recite the names of Ekadasis. So there is a discussion with Lord Krishna, I believe, and Yudhisthira Maharaj. Does anyone know the name? Is this Varutini Ekadasi today? Does anyone know? Was it Kada last? I think this is Varutini.
It starts with a P.
I got it. Varutini is April to May. Oh, we want. Yeah, Parpara. Okay, that's number 9. Chapter 9. Now, some devotees feel as though this particular portion of the Vedas is somewhat of Makanda, meaning that it explains the benefits derived by some devotees who sometimes accidentally, who kept Ekadasi, and as I say, sometimes not even knowing it, but just doing that, then they gain tremendous spiritual benefit. So, how to observe Ekadasi? Fasting generally means completely abstaining from both food and drink. Although Achman water and Charamrita, formerly only drops, can be drank. If one finds this impossible, then one should eat a single non-grain meal once in the afternoon. This meal, called nakta, or supper, should consist of roots grown underground, except beetroots, fruit, water, milk, products, nuts, sugar, and vegetables, except mushrooms. One should try not to drink water more than once, or eat more than one meal on Ekadasi, as Lord Krishna says to Arjuna in chapter 1 of this book. The full amount of merit to a person who fasts completely on Ekadasi, while one who eats only supper achieves half of that merit. Of course, for every devotee in the Krishna consciousness movement, preaching is the most important. And if a complete Ekadasi fast impedes that duty, it should not be observed. But if a devotee can follow the full fasting rules and still meet his responsibilities, he should by all means do so. In any case, one must strictly avoid eating grains or legumes on Ekadasi. One should also avoid sleeping during the day. A massage with oil, eating betel nuts, touching a woman, touching a meat eater. A chandal is a dog eater, but then too, if a dog eater is bad, what to speak of someone who's eating the cow? A bird, a weaver, or a washerman, shaving and eating with bell metal utensils. So we don't shave even on Ekadasi. If one does not eat besides grains and legumes, he should avoid the following: spinach, honey, eggplant, eating in another's house, asafoetida, sea salt. Other kinds of salt, such as rock salt, are allowed. Only those who are ill may consume herbal medicines on this sacred day. Although at present the Vedic calendar begins with the month of Chaitra, March, April, in ancient times the new year began with the month of Margashira, or November, December. This is a very auspicious month, as Lord Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Masanam Margashiranam. Of months I am Margashira. Thus, one who is beginning his observance of Ekadasi usually starts during this month. There are 2 Ekadasis in each month, one during the fortnight and one during the light. They are equally powerful spiritual advancement. What I wanted to, because there was a conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Lord Krishna. I'm sorry? This is called the Ekadasi book. So, being that I didn't have previous knowledge that I was going to give this, we'll just go through a recitation of the names of the Ekadasis so that everybody here will get the full benefit today of the Ekadasi. So, if I can read this, go by the Vaishnava name, right? What I will do is just recite the name and then you can recite it after me. Utpana, Mokshada, Safala, Uttrada, Tripurita, Baimi, Vijay, Amalaki. Oh boy, this is the one we're on right now. Paparochi, Papa Mocha. Sorry. You know what? I think if someone could, someone who has better vision than I do, these words are very small to read. Can you read these questions? Right here. Starting at the top, we're just going through it. See that?
So should I start from the top again?
No, just start where I was down in the middle there.
Papa Vimochani Ekadashi,
Papa Bhimani,
Damana Karopani Ekadashi,
Tanana Karopani,
Mohini Ekadashi,
Varotini Ekadasi,
Mohini Ekadashi, Apara Ekadashi,
Apara,
Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi,
Pandava Nirjala,
Yogini Ekadashi,
Yogini,
Devasayani Ekadashi,
Devasai,
Kamika Ekadashi,
Kamika,
Pavitra Ropani Ekadashi,
Pavitra Rupini,
Ananda Ekadashi,
Ananda Ekadasi,
Paraswa Ekadashi,
Padaswa Ekadasi,
Indira Ekadashi,
Indira Ekadasi,
Pasha Pusha Ekadashi,
Pashampush,
Rama Ekadasi,
Rama Ekadasi,
Devothani Ekadasi,
Devatani,
Visuddha Ekadasi,
Visuddha Ekadasi,
Shuddha Ekadasi.
Suddha Ekadasi. That's it. Thank you very much. Now you all have the benefit of keeping this Ekadasi. And we said this is, yeah. That's Krishna cutting the head off of demon. Not sure who that demon is. This is the demon that followed Krishna into the cave. Well, that was a Mataji that came out of his body, and this appears to be a warrior. But we are on Papano Machani Ekadasi. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, O Supreme Lord, I have heard from you the explanation of Amalaki Ekadasi, which occurs during the light fortnight of the month of Falgun, February, March. And now I wish to hear about the Ekadasi that occurs during the dark night of the month of Chaitra, March to April. What is its name, O Lord, and what results can one attain by observing it? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, I, O best of kings, for the benefit of everyone, I shall gladly describe to you the glories of this Ekadasi, which is Papo Machani. The history of this Ekadasi was once narrated to the Emperor Madan by Lomas Rishi. King Manda addressed the Rishi. O great sage, for the benefit of all people, please tell me the name of the Ekadasi that occurs during the dark fortnight of the month of Chaitra, and please explain the process for observing it. Also, please describe the benefits one gains by observing this Ekadasi, which you are going to gain. If I can read through it, let me see what that is. Maybe it's the glass. Oh my God, no wonder I can't see. Helps if glasses are clear.
Right size or are they filthy? Oh, they're dirty.
That's the problem. I thought maybe I had the wrong glass.
The story of my life. I can't see through they're filthy.
Okay, now. Yep, day and night. Okay. Jai, Sisi Radha Kanga Jai, Jai Digana, Jai Baladev, Maheshwara, Jai Sisi Gornitai. Lomas Rishi replied, the Ekadasi that occurs during the dark part of the month of Pomachani Ekadasi, for the faithful devotee, it removes the influences of ghosts and demons. O man amongst men. This Ekadasi also awards the 8 perfections of life, fulfills all kinds of desires, purifies one's life of all sinful reactions, and makes a person perfectly righteous. Wow. Now, please listen to a historical account concerning this Ekadasi and Chitrarath, the chief of the Gandharvas, the heavenly musicians. During the spring season, in the company of heavenly dancing girls, Chitrarath came upon a beautiful forest, bursting forth with a great variety of flowers. There, he and the girls joined other Gandharvas and many Kinnaras, along with Lord Indra, the king of heaven, who was enjoying a visit there. See how much this is revealing that these souls that are in the realm considered to be the heavenly planets, they have access to all these different planets. They go from one planet to the next. They're on vacation. Everyone felt that there was no better garden than this forest. Many sages were also present, performing their austerities and penances. The demigods particularly enjoyed visiting this celestial garden during the months of Chaitra and Vaisak, April, May. A great sage named Mandari resided in that forest. And the very attractive dancing girls would always attempt to seduce him. One famous girl in particular, Manjaghosh, contrived many ways to allure the exalted man, the exalted Muni. But out of great for the sage and fear of his power, which he had attained after years and years of asceticism, she would come very close to him. At a spot 2 miles from the sage, she pitched a tent and began singing very sweetly as she played a tambura 2 miles away. Cupid himself became excited when he saw and heard her perform so nicely and smelled the fragrance of her sandal paste unguent. He remembered his own unfortunate experience with Lord Shiva and decided to take revenge by seducing Madhavi. Using the eyebrows of Manjaghosh as a bow, her glances as a bowstring, as arrows, and her breasts as a target, Cupid approached Madhavi in order to tempt him to break his trance and his vows. In other words, Cupid engaged Manjaghosh as his assistant, and when she looked at that powerful and attractive young sage, she also became agitated by lust. Seeing that he was highly intelligent and learned, wearing a clean white Brahman's thread draped across his shoulder, holding a sannyasi staff, and sitting handsomely in the ashram of Chanchi, Manjaghosh came before him. She began to sing seductively, and the small bells on her belt and around her ankles, together with the bangles on her waist, produced a delightful musical symphony. The sage Madhavi was enchanted. He understood that this beautiful young woman desired union, and at that instant Cupid increased his attraction for Manjaghosh by releasing his powerful weapons of taste, touch, sight, smell, and sound. Slowly Manjaghosh approached Madhavi, her bodily movements and sweet glances attracting him. She gracefully put her tambura down and embraced the sage with her 2 arms, just as a creeper winds itself around a strong tree. Captivated, Madhavi gave up his meditation and decided to sport with her, and instantly his purity of heart and mind abandoned him. Forgetting even the difference between night and day, he went away with her to sport for a long, long time. Seeing that the young yogi's sanctity had become seriously eroded, Manjaghosh decided to abandon and return home. She said, "Oh, great one, please permit me to return home." Madhavi replied, "But you just got here. Beautiful one, please stay with me at least till tomorrow." Fearful of the sage's yogic power, Manjaghosh stayed with Madhavi for precisely 57 years, 9 months, 3 days. But to Madhavi, all this time seemed like a moment. Again, she asked him, "Please permit me to leave." Madhavi replied, "Oh, dear one, listen to me. Stay with me just one more night, and then you can leave tomorrow morning. Just stay with with me until after I have performed my morning duties and chanted the sacred Gayatri mantra. Please wait until then. Ghosh was still fearful of the yogis, of the sage's great yogic power, but she forced a smile and said, "How long will it take you to finish your morning hymns and rituals? Please be merciful. Think of all the time you have already spent with me." The sage reflected on the years he had been with Manjaghosh, and then said with great astonishment, "Why have I spent 57 years with you?" His eyes turned red and began to emanate sparks. He now regarded Manjaghosh as death personified and the destroyer of his spiritual life. "You rascal woman, you turned all the hard-earned results of my austerities to ashes." Trembling with anger, he cursed Manjaghosh. "O sinful one, O hard-hearted, degraded one, you know only sin. May all terrible fortune be yours, rascal woman. I curse you to become an evil hobgoblin, Pishaka." Cursed by the sage, Maidava, the beautiful Manjaghosh, humbly beseeched him, "O best of the Brahmins, please be merciful to me and revoke your curse. O great one, it is said that association with pure devotees gives immediate results, but their curses take effect only after 7 days. I've been with you for 57 years. O Master, please be kind to me." Madhavi Muni replied, "O gentle lady, what can I possibly do? You did all my austerities. But even though you have done this sinful deed, I shall tell you a way you can be released from my wrath. In the dark fortnight of the month of Chaitra, there's an all-auspicious Ekasi that removes all one's sins. Its name is Pamochani. O beautiful one, and whereas whoever fasts on this sacred day becomes completely freed from having to take birth in any kind of devilish form." With these words, the sage left at once for his father's ashram. Seeing him enter the hermitage, Chavana Muni said, "O son, by acting unlawfully, you have squandered the wealth of your penances and austerities." Madhavi replied, "Father, kindly reveal what atonement I must perform to remove the obnoxious sins I incurred by privately associating with the dancing girl Manjaghosh." Chavana Muni answered, "Dear son, you must fast on Papa Mochani Ekadasi, which occurs during the dark fortnight of the month of Chaitra. It eradicates all sins, no matter how grievous they may be." So he had just given the same advice to this woman. Now his father is giving him this advice. Madhavi followed his father's advice and fasted on Papa Mochani Ekadasi. Thus all his sins were destroyed, and he again became filled with excellent merit. Similarly, Manjaghosh observed the same fast and became free of the hobgoblin's curse. Ascending once again to the heavenly spirit, she too returned to her former position. Lomashat Rishi continued, "Thus, O king, the great benefit of fasting on Papa Mochani Ekadasi is, whoever does so with faith and devotion will have all his sins completely destroyed." Sri Krishna concluded, "O King Yudhisthira, whoever reads or hears about Papa Mochani Ekadasi obtains this very same merit he would get if he had donated 1,000 cows in charity." This is Lord Krishna saying this. And also nullifies the sinful reaction he may have incurred by killing a Brahmin, killing an embryo through abortion, drinking liquor, or having sex with his guru's wife. Such is the incalculable benefit of properly observing this holy day, a Papamochani Ekadasi, which is so dear to me and so meritorious. This is Krishna himself saying that. So if these Ekadasis, which he says to all of these Ekadasis, are so dear, this is what impelled me to keep Ekadasis. Thus ends the narrations of the glory of Chaitra, Krishna, Ekadasi, or Papamochani Ekadasi, from the Bhavishya Uttara Purana. We can know by keeping this Ekadasi, which we have by the recitation of all these Ekadasis, we're completely freed now from sinful reactions and activities that we may have in prior. Now we're so pure we can read Srimad Bhagavatam. So are we on text 20 now? No. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text 20. Rig Yaju Samatarvakya. Rig Yaju Samatarvakya. Vedas Chatvara Udrita. Vedas Chatvara Udrita. Itihas Puranam Cha. Itihasa Puranam Cha. Panchama Veda Uchite. Panchamo Veda Uchite. Rigyaju Samatarvatya. Vedas Chatvara Udrita. Itihasa Puranam Cha. Panchamo Veda Uchite. Rigyaju Samatarvatya. Vedas Chatvara Udrita. Itihasa Puranam Cha. Panchamo Veda Uchite. Please chant. Someone. Rigyaju Samatarvakya. Vedas Chatvara Udrita. Itihasa Puranam Cha. Panchamo Veda Uchite. Rigyaju Samatarvakya. Vedas Chatvara Udrita. Itihasa Puranam Cha. Panchama Veda Uchite.
Rigyaju Samatarvakya.
Rigyaju Samatarvakya.
Vedas Chatvara Udrita.
Vedas Chatvara Udrita.
Itihasa Puranam Cha.
Itihasa Puranam Cha.
Panchamo Veda Uchyate.
Panchamo Veda Uchite. Rigyajasmatarvakya. The names of the four Vedas.
The names of the four Vedas.
Veda,
Veda,
the Vedas.
the Vedas.
Chatvara,
Chatvara, four.
Udrita,
Udrita,
made into separate parts.
made into separate parts.
Itihasa,
Itihasa,
historical records.
historical records.
Mahabharata, Purnamcha,
Purnamcha,
and the Puranas.
and the Vedas.
Panchama,
Panchama,
the fifth.
the fifth.
Veda, the original source of knowledge.
The original source of knowledge.
Ude
Today
is said to be.
is said to be.
Rigyaju samatarvakya Vedas chatvara utrita itihasa puranam cha jamo Veda uchite. Translation in His Divine Grace purport by Charna Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The four divisions, the original sources of knowledge, the Vedas, were made separately, but the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the fifth Veda. Please repeat. The four divisions of the original sources of knowledge
The Vedas
were made separately,
were made separately,
but the historical facts
the historical facts
and authentic stories
and authentic stories
mentioned in the Puranas
mentioned in the Puranas
are called the fifth Veda.
are called the Vedas.
The four divisions of the original sources of knowledge, the Vedas, were separately, but the historical facts and authentic stories mentioned in the Puranas are called the fifth Veda. There is no purport on that verse. We'll go to the next verse, text 21. I'll just read this verse. Tatrag Veda Dara Paila Samago Amani Kavi Vai Sampayan Aibaiko Nishnato Yajaka Uta. Sorry. Translation. After the Vedas were divided into four divisions, Pila Rishi became the professor of the Rig Veda, Jaimini of the Samaveda, and Vasampayan became glorified by the Yajurveda. Purport by His Divine Grace. Abhay Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami. The different Vedas were entrusted to different learned scholars for development in various ways. So as we were discussing yesterday, each of the Vedas were given to sections of society for the advancement of the society. And the Atharva Veda was mantras of war, actually, put into the Samaveda as a song. And then we have other writings considered Veda that also are given for the upliftment of society and for the advancement of those members of society who are taking part in the Vedic process for the development of the soul. Now, in this day and age, we don't see the acceptance, for the most part, by society of the Vedas as guide or a way to be able to society to make advancement. There is some little understanding of pious activity being that, you know, you go to work and then you pay a certain amount of, they call tithing on Sunday. Once a week they go to work and then pay their penances, so to speak, the evil deeds that we commit, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. So the Vedas also give the easiest process by which human beings can then find purification. And so, due to the fact that there are so many different societies worldwide that God has sent messengers to each of them according to time and circumstance and place. And they are all receiving different instructions at times and believing that those instructions are for all time, for all people, under all circumstances. And so you have a division in the world of societies that are being given these guiding laws for the sake of society being brought together and being able to function together as a whole. Whereas we see in society, rather, people are taking these instructions that they're being given as that has to be given by all other people, with the exception that if they don't follow, then they will have to be killed, basically. It is based on their different religious beliefs that they are included in concluding that their race or their group of people is superior to the other people, and therefore the other groups of people have to be wiped out. And this is basic war mentality in the world that's prevailing. And people have this idea. And what can be done? It is the evil that is causing all these divisions amongst ourselves. We can see the value of knowing to be soul, spiritual, Satchidananda. And when everybody has that same basic understanding, then it's much easier for all of us to get along with each other. But devotees, I mean, just the practice of offering obeisances. Devotees see one another, they fall down, offer prostrated obeisances, recite Vanchakalpa Tribhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevascha Patitanabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. We offer full obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone. So there's a quality of a devotee that in the material world, if you bow down to someone, you're looked as weak, or that you are succumbing to the powers of that personality. This is why if President Trump went into a Moody or some representative in India and he respectfully offered obeisances, they would consider this a big fall down. You know, it'd be big thing thought in the United States is him offering some form of worship to some other human being. And this is just like everyday activity. We offer respectful obeisances to one another, but to speak of to the founders of the process we are in. So these simple little acts of Vaishnava etiquette incorporated into the everyday activities of a devotee makes their living with one another very easy then. When we're offering respect to each other, it's hard to see each other as an enemy or as someone that you want to beat up or because you're both engaged in the same acts, then you see each other at least as friends. And then by our connection as soul, coming out of the same body as Krishna, we can actually see ourselves as family with each other. And Krishna consciousness, because most families in this world are all based upon a temporary existence. So that family relationship we have with one another through Krishna consciousness is actually eternal. We're sharing an experience through the connection we have with Guru to Krishna. We're sharing experiences with each other that will continue after this life. Continue on into that seva we will continue to engage in as we have developed the habit of doing so here. It's the same activity. We had a great devotee who used to take part very much in collecting for Rath Yatra, Mahavir Prabhu. And I was given the privilege of being able to speak when he left his body. But knowing him, and that he used to go out and get milk from Kroger's. In the spiritual world, Kroger's not there. But the act of getting milk for Krishna is still there. So the act that he was taking part in the spiritual world, is going on now, that he has made himself available for by doing it here. So what we do for Krishna here, then we reveal to Krishna what we want to do for him. And by this relationship we establish with him by doing it every day. It becomes a regular routine that after a while you couldn't see yourself doing anything else, or thinking of other forms of life in any other way than they are also. The ant, the bug, the fly, the bee, the bird, the elephant. They're all also on their way to becoming human beings. And then gradually, as we have, just think how long they have to go and how far we have come. So important it is to realize the significant step now we have made in our existence towards God by taking Krishna consciousness seriously, to be once and for all able to be free from the control of material energy that it has us in its captivity for so many eons. All you have to do is go outside and observe the animals in their daily activities and what they have to go through to continue their existence. And many of them are at war with each other, and they're fighting. These little animals are constantly in fear of the creatures that are bigger than them or looking at them for food. And so, even in form, there are human beings that live in these same kind of fears. And we can know in Krishna consciousness, Krishna is giving us, a sannyasi is supposed to be fearless, having no fear. So how can we come to the point when we have been living for eons and eons in fear, to the point where we are fearless? And that is by knowing the truth about the soul, indestructible soul, can't be touched with a knife, can't be burned by fire, can't be drenched by water. Nothing can damage this soul that we are. And so knowledge of this gives us the ability to overcome anything that life itself could throw upon us, because we know the one who is in control of all of it. So by having established this friendship we have with the one whose activities we are engaged, it's Krishna's energy. So the engagement in that energy that he enables us to engage in is revealing the fact that he wants us to be with him, Krishna, personally. You know, you look in times past, it wasn't that long ago, 100 years, 200 years ago, the general public didn't have access to what was considered to be scriptures. They were reserved for the clergy, as it would be, to be the only ones qualified to be able to read from the sacred writings. And now it is made available to the planet. You can see. All we have to do is type in a word on the computer, and boom, every scripture in the world comes up. And yet, how much value are people putting into what is ancient words of wisdom? If you could speak to someone 10,000 years old, they would have within their consciousness a recollection of such that has given them the ability to live that long. So that's knowledge. So what to speak of that knowledge that was at the foundation of the world? It's that Krishna is saying the same knowledge that he gave, that he's giving us now, he gave to Vivashwan, who was himself in rulership of the sun planet. And being in that position then, he was himself in knowledge of how to live. And a long, long life. So these living entities that had received this knowledge, we are receiving it now, same form they were receiving it then. So it makes available to us that same act. they gained full knowledge of how to live to be 100,000 years on the planet. Full knowledge of how to, govern people properly so that there would be no sin. Produce foodstuffs from the earth that would be of such beneficial nature that nutrition-wise, the living entities were living to be 100,000 years. They didn't even need to eat. Think about that. The earth at that time was in a much different way, and it was, you could say, more towards its original perfection than what we have done to it. Every civilization that has existed on the earth, we can see, they get pretty much wiped out, leaving very little traces of them. And sometimes because the environment is subjected to so much karmic reaction, and you could say it's in somewhat looked at as Krishna anger. Krishna could wipe the whole planet out without much thought at all, and yet he continues he continues to allow sinful activity. Love and the mercy he has for living entities, that even though they are going against his laws, he's allowing them to carry out functions for their own pleasures, which find them in the control of the material energy that they are thinking they are themselves controlling. Desire. I developed a saying, fate is stronger than desire. Because we have so many desires. We'd like to see this done, we'd like to have that, we'd like to do this. But what we are able to do, we are able to do that we have to this point established as our qualification to be able to do. So, if we have pure desires to want to be nature, simply by staying on the path of Krishna consciousness, automatically will develop the qualities, the characteristics necessary for us to perform those functions of Krishna consciousness that we desire to perform more perfectly. Day by day, Krishna increases every day. And from what I read, the universe is expanding also. It's not like dormant, not in a state of dormancy. And if you look at the principles of creation itself, it's made in such a way that it appears as though it's meant to keep expanding. It's not like every time somebody's born, there's one less that can be born. No, there's billions and billions waiting to be born, unmanifest. And we benefit them by practicing consciousness, by the sound vibration we create that purifies also the universe. Because Krishna's name, even saying Krishna's name once, it goes around the world 7 times. And it is having an effect. It's just like what time we spend today thinking about Krishna will be time that was not spent accumulating karma. So in effect, by simply applying conscious principles, we are removing some of the karmic reactions that are building up in the universe. And the more we preach to devotees, and the more devotees there are to engage in this pure Krishna conscious energy, the less energy there will be of karma that will deter from. See, they're worried about the reaction of burning petroleum. What they don't realize is the effects of the life activities that are being engaged in as far as breaking God's precepts are concerned. Those are the real reactions we should be afraid of. Not burning the gas, but what we do with where we get the gas took us to. So if we're going to create energy after getting where the petroleum brought us, to distributing prasadam, like that, to have a beneficial effect outwardly on the effects of karma. If we're going to engage in activities to destroy other human beings and bring hardships to others and like that, it's going to bring bigger effects, reactions. So more so than worried about burning gas is conducting our lives the way we should be conducting them. And that's what these people should be more made aware of, is more so the effects that a lifestyle can have upon the environment than simply burning gasoline. Any comments, any questions? I don't know, what else are they saying is burning? Oh, the spray cans also, right? The aerosol cans, they say is burning a hole in the ozone that lets more sunlight through.
I've actually heard that this hole in the ozone has actually been filled in.
It's been filled in now, right? Somehow, God had it figured out before they're not taking into consideration that Krishna knew everything before. And all to do is listen to what he says and do what he says, and then everything will work fine. We'll be happy. Krishna will be happy. The world will be happy. The universe will be happy. We'll go back to God. Krishna can breathe in again.
The karmic reaction from calculating, from a global, even like warming perspective, all of these things that are going on, they're diverting attention to like, car pollution,
Yeah.
this pollution, that pollution.
Exactly.
But really, it's not even about the pollution, it's about the karmic activities.
Yeah.
That's your greatest pollution, is by doing all these karmic activities. So, unless educated in Vedic philosophy, it's just going to keep
Yeah. But see too, as well, as devotees, even though we do involve ourselves in the use of petroleum consumption, we nevertheless, when we gain the ability to influence society to the extent that it takes on activities of Krishna consciousness, the need for petroleum or the want for petroleum will disappear, because we'll find far superior forms of energy that we can use for Krishna that won't have harmful effects upon us. And even now, there are things that could be the mechanistic aspects of our society that could be beneficial for society. For example, every muffler has air pressure coming out of it, which could turn a wheel. You could have a recording on it that says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So every vacuum, every car, every airplane, they could also be chanting Hare Krishna. When we incorporate into our life Krishna consciousness, then we can see how we can add to everything we do. Everything can be having Krishna's perspective added to it. Any other comments? Any questions?
So, Prabhupada said, simple living, higher thinking.
Yeah.
The more simple we live, the less consumption of
You will require.
materials and goods, things like that. And that makes a huge difference
Yep.
in mentality of the individual.
Yeah.
Just, if you're looking at pollution, karmic activities, this, that, or the other, like just by living simply,
Yeah.
solve so many issues.
See, too, when I'm reflecting about fasting, for example, it's not really a big deal. But normally, when you're going to eat, it's like your appreciation for food, the more you eat, the appreciation for it depletes, right? Get full. When you fast, just eating, returning to eating, is like such a satisfying feeling now, which normally just seems like a normal activity. You're just normally going to eat, right? But when you're really hungry, the food tastes that much better. So life is like that. The more you spend your time on things that give you beneficial knowledge, the more that knowledge enhances your life. Josh? Yeah.
You talk about food. Most of the people in India also, other countries also, they don't cook at home now. It's order online only, coming from the restaurant.
Yeah.
So much anxiety, like they say, we will deliver you 20 minutes. In other countries, the traffic is not very streamlined.
Yeah.
So the person who is delivering the see the order in anxiety. This order need to be delivered in, I have to make this in half an hour.
Yeah.
The person who delivering is also in anxiety, going through traffic, taking this
Yeah.
will need the food.
Yeah.
And the person who is consuming it, they also
Yeah.
calling the person on the cell phone.
Yeah.
So the whole, everybody's in anxiety.
Yeah.
So
If we could get this prasadam into the schools, the same way that their mentality is contaminating everything, we could purify everything. Because these kids are at such an age, and you can see when you got kids at 15, 16 years old mass murdering with a machine gun, where are they getting these ideas from? They're getting it from their games and from their arcade games and all these things. But you know, when I was a kid, we had arcade games too, and it was shooting up. And kids used to bring guns to school just like down south. Kids go hunting after school to bring a rabbit home to eat, you know. And they never had kids being, it's the philosophy being promoted by educators about putting thoughts into children's minds. They'd never had these ideas years ago. And of course, movies play a big part in how much we value human life itself.
I was raised in a family of police officers, and guns were a constant part of my life. As a matter of fact, when I was 12 years old, for my birthday, I got a rifle.
Yeah.
It was a single shot, one bullet only rifle, so it was completely idiot-proof. But we lived out in the country, and I knew the only way I was to touch those guns is if I thought my life was in danger.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of times when I was out there in the country alone, and I thought I heard someone in the basement, and I took that gun downstairs to protect myself.
Yeah.
But I knew if I touched that gun for any other reason, my dad would beat the life out of me. I knew better than to touch those guns. I knew better than to take them out of the cabinet.
If
I knew better to
he beats the life out of you now, if he beats the life out of you now, he's going to go to jail.
Yeah.
See, that healthy fear
Yeah.
that you grow up in your childhood,
Yes.
it's a healthy fear.
Yeah.
But what has happened, it has now been so misconstrued that people don't understand that being raised with a healthy fear that if you do something wrong, there's going to be a punishment behind it. Now,
Got
that
it.
punishment is no longer, it's more like, oh, how do you feel? How can I make you feel better? Oh, that's okay, don't worry. No, you worry. If you do something wrong, you're going to get punished for it.
Yeah.
But parenting, unfortunately, the method of, with all lawsuits and this and that, and yes, the increase in violence, this all comes because of a collective karma that is just completely changing the
You know, you
mentality
can
of
see that
society.
reflected even you're saying, it's like, they call them snowflakes because they melt so easily. You know, you can see it reflected even in the playground now. They don't want there to be gravel on the playground. They have to make it a sponge playground, so in case you fall, you don't get hurt. Everything's padded,
And we hung from steel bars 20 feet in the air.
Yeah, climbed up on them.
With dirt under it.
It's part of growing up. And when you got bruised, mom would go home, mom would kiss it, and it's all better now.
My kid fell out of the tree into a pile of butt. Take a shower. And stuff. You climb the tree. This way you go clean yourself off.
Granted, I should my Bhagavatam, ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.